What's going on, everybody? Josh McCarty from Bills Chat. And boy, oh boy, do we have some Sean McDermott stuff to talk about, as he is probably going to be getting some national attention over the next couple of days for a quote that is getting some steam in the mainstream media. Sean McDermott spoke to the reporters at the Combine on Monday, but it was a quote that came out of an exclusive sit down interview with the Athletic's Tim Graham on Sunday that is gaining some traction. Did Sean McDermott guarantee the Buffalo Bills are going to win the Super Bowl? Well, not exactly, but that's certainly how it's being framed. I read the article. Tim Graham always does a great job. I highly recommend you all get in there and read the article. It's very good. I'm not going to give you point by point of everything he said. I will just give you my interpretation of it, and you can take that for what it's worth. And then we will also get into some of the other stuff that came out of Sean McDermott's press conference today with the media at the Combine. But the quote that's gaining attention is, did he guarantee victory? Here's the quote. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That's the relentless pursuit. Easy for me to say. And look, on its own, that quote sounds like Sean McDermott saying we are going to win the Super Bowl. But when you read the story, what he's actually saying is you have to believe that as the position that he's in as head coach, or if you're an important person in the Buffalo Bills organization, you can't be deterred by the fact that your season ended with a loss yet again and you came up short yet again. If Sean McDermott was hanging his head all off season, acting like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, reference that some of you might get, just a cloud over his head, constantly wondering when his time would come, that's not very productive. Sean McDermott talks about the fact that you can't quit. You have to keep pushing forward. You have to believe you're doing the right thing. Sean McDermott even touched on in that article that all that's left for the Bills to do is to win an AFC championship game and a Super Bowl. And while a lot of people will roll their eyes at it, like, yeah, you still haven't done that, that is something that a lot of teams in the league cannot say. Only the Bills and the Chiefs, by the way, have made it to as deep as the second round of the playoffs the last 4 seasons. I do think sometimes it gets confused how easy it is to make it as far as the Bills have. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of the Bills team that lost 4 straight Super Bowls, and they became like a national laughing stock, as if it was some sort of 4 game losing streak, not respecting at all the process it takes to make it to a Super Bowl, not only once, but 4 times in a row. These Bills have not made it to a Super Bowl, but they have been one of the best consistent teams in the sport over the last 5 years, making middle to deep playoff runs. Obviously, they've come up short for a variety of reasons. The biggest reason is the greatest player I've ever seen in the sport continues to get in their way in Patrick Mahomes. He's eliminated them 3 times. But I think the larger point is the Bills are doing a lot right. I still have questions about Sean McDermott, but I do understand where he's coming from. I don't take this quote as some sort of Joe Namath proclamation that we're going to win the Super Bowl in 2024. I do think that's how it'll be spun on First Take and Pro Football Talk and whatever show Skip Bayless and Nick Ryder on. I don't even know what they're called anymore. If that's your flavor for how to take in sports media, go for it. They're going to trash on the Bills, I'm sure. They'll smirk and they'll talk about how Sean McDermott chokes in big situations. I thought it was more an article about Sean McDermott's relentless attitude to continue to persevere and come through, and how he relies on friends in other sports and other professions that have gone through similar things. And I thought it was a really well written piece, not like the spoken piece that I'm going through tonight, apparently. But I always highly recommend anything Tim Graham does, and this is no different. He is one of the best in the business, in my humble opinion. Sean McDermott did speak at length for about 30 minutes to the media today at the Combine. And there were some interesting nuggets to come out of that. Like, look, it's a press conference, so you're not going to get anything too juicy. I thought one of the more interesting things was he said Micah Hyde has not made a decision on whether he's going to play or not. That certainly is a big domino for the Bills, as free agency is right around the corner. It starts March 16th. Micah Hyde is an unrestricted free agent. So if he decides he wants to play, that's a contract the Bills will have to decide if they want to get done. And they are certainly up against the salary cap. But you look back at what Micah Hyde's wife put on social media, you start to hear some whispers, and it does sound like maybe it is the end for Micah Hyde, but certainly not an announcement that anybody is ready to make just yet. They asked Sean McDermott about explosive plays. Obviously, at the combine this week, the Bills are going to be talking with a lot of prospects, looking at a lot of position groups, and the Bills have been connected team need wise to wide receivers and offensive playmakers. And this is the second time this offseason that Sean McDermott has really talked about the importance of explosive plays, not only with deep shots, but he really highlighted the ability to get some run after catch. Sean McDermott did a great job of pointing out that the league has evolved back to much more of a universal two high safety look where it is hard to get those chunk plays. And that's where those run after catch options for receivers become just primary responsibilities of the offense. You have to be able to take a 10-yard pass and turn it into an 80-yard touchdown every now and again. And the Bills certainly lack some of those guys on their offense, and they need to find one or two in this draft if this offense is going to remain in the top end of the NFL. Speaking of the offense, Sean McDermott talked about new offensive coordinator Joe Brady. He's excited to see what Joe Brady can do with a full offseason. He does not expect the offense to change drastically, but he is excited to see what spin Joe Brady can put on the offense, having an entire offseason to install what he wants to do. On the defensive side, he talked about Bobby Babich, the newly promoted defensive coordinator. A decision has not been made yet of whether Sean McDermott or Bobby Babich will call defensive plays. I'm pretty sure a decision has been made. They just don't necessarily feel the need to let us know. In my opinion, I think Sean McDermott needs to hand over play calling back to Bobby Babich. I think Sean McDermott is a fantastic play caller. But I think there was evidence this year that having the defensive play caller responsibilities was a little bit too much on his plate on game day. I thought this was the sloppiest year for game management that we've seen from Sean McDermott in a long, long time. I thought some of his aggressive nature went away this year, and I don't think he was as sharp in crucial situations as he had been in years past. And I do think you have to empower people around you to do their job. So I would like to see Sean McDermott at least start off giving Bobby Babich the ability to call plays, but obviously no decision has been made on that just yet. He talked about Gabe Davis, another big free agent coming up for the Buffalo Bills. And look, anytime anybody from the Bills organization speaks about Gabe Davis, they do so glowingly. He talked about how he's a team captain, he's a success story from the draft. My read on the Gabe Davis situation has not changed. I would let him go. I like Gabe Davis. I don't love Gabe Davis. I think Gabe Davis's market is going to be higher than I'm comfortable paying a receiver that does what he does. But I don't think I'm ready to do what a lot of others are able to do of just saying Gabe Davis stinks. Anybody can replace him. We saw in the playoff game when Gabe Davis was out that Trent Sherfield cannot replace him. Gabe Davis is not just a replacement level player, and the offense became very, very horizontal without Gabe Davis on the field. He needs to be out there or somebody in that role better than Trent Sherfield next year for the Buffalo Bills. In my opinion, the Bills do want him back, but I think they have a very strict ceiling on how high they're willing to go. And my guess, my hunch, my read is that ceiling is going to fall well short of where the league values Gabe Davis, and he will be playing for another team come next year. We did get a little bit updates on Tre'Davious White and Matt Milano. McDermott said they're both doing well in their rehab. He sees them both on a pretty regular basis as both are spending a lot of time rehabbing at the facility. He was not ready to give a timetable just yet on how either of them are doing or when we can expect them back on the football field. Sean McDermott touched on the decision to keep Matthew Smiley as the special teams coordinator. And really, he said it came down to the first year under Smiley, the special teams were good. The second year, not so good. So when you put it all together, it's kind of like average. They need to limit the explosive plays we saw happen against the Bills on special teams, but it seems like Sean McDermott was not super interested in changing over all three of his coordinators in less than a calendar year. So Matthew Smiley stays on as the special teams coach. A little bit of news today for the roster. The Bills restructured offensive guard Connor McGovern's contract, saving the team nearly $4 million in cap space. Brandon Beane still has quite a bit of work to do, though, to get under the salary cap. Ben Volen reported earlier today the Bills are about $34 million over the cap. It's not a matter of if, but when. You like that, Sean McDermott? The Bills will restructure Josh Allen. That'll save the team a little over $23 million in cap space. Some big decisions coming up, though, on players like Stephon Diggs and Von Miller. I would not be in favor of restructuring those guys. I would look elsewhere, whether it's Ed Oliver, players like that. I think there are better options on this team to restructure. You can extend Deion Dawkins and save some money. There's a lot of things the Bills can do before I would kick the can down the road on Stephon Diggs or Von Miller. We'll see what Brandon Beane is able to do to get the Bills underneath the salary cap, because free agency is right around the corner, guys. It's March 16th that free agency begins, but the combine is starting on Tuesday, and it goes from Tuesday till next Monday, March 4th. And then we are staring right down the barrel at free agency starting the second week of March. So we will be on top of all Buffalo Bills news that comes out of the combine or any more restructures that happen. But we certainly want to get a video out today to talk about this Sean McDermott guaranteeing a Super Bowl victory. Not really. Story that's going to be getting some national attention. You can always count on us, me, my partner Luca, on Bills Chat. We'll tell you how we really feel about certain things. We won't always just go with whatever way the momentum's carrying it. I don't think this was as big of a deal as being spun, but you are certainly welcome to make any opinion of it you may. Thanks again for watching. I'm Josh McCarty, and I will see you next time on Bills Chat Quick Chat.